It's Wednesday night, everyone. Welcome to Florida State Seminoles Live. Welcome in, of course, our distinguished panel. We got Logan Robinson on the line from Nole Game Day. Jason Parker from
How you doing? How you doing?
He loves it.
I love it. Chop Chat.
How's the weather
today?
It has a ring.
It has enunciation.
It feels good.
How is the weather up there? I mean, I saw the ALCS. Shout out to my Yankees for blowing game 2 and then choking in game 3. But how's the weather up there, man? You safe?
The weather was beautiful yesterday, but it has certainly turned in. It's gone from like early September type weather, pushing 80, sunny, not a cloud in the sky, to boom, it's November. It's 50 out. It's rainy and cold and damp.
It was 91 today here in South Florida today, so it was 91 today down here.
Okay, I can do without 91, but I take it over 50.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here to talk Florida State football, everyone. Hang on. When we don't get to Florida State football talk within like 30 seconds, people start getting a little anxious. I think we dragged on the who knows what we were talking about. The first thing we started out of the gate last week, it was some kind of Jason conjured up storyline of something. Popeyes.
It was Yom Kippur, and I hadn't eaten, and I was a little hangry.
That's what it was.
So I apologize.
Are you well fed this week, Jason?
I am.
Okay, good to know. Welcome in, everyone, to Florida State Seminoles Live. We do this each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We got Logan Robinson and, of course, Jason Parker on the line. And this is our crew every Wednesday night. So don't just enjoy this yourself. Bring in more Florida State fans. And as you will see in the live chat, we've got college football fans from across the board.
Hit the like button.
We have to do it. Hit the like button.
Yes, hit that like button.
Logan will remind everyone later in the show when we really need that punch, when we need that push. We'll get Logan, but he's saving his selling skills, his sales skills.
We wait till the right time.
Later.
The right time will come.
That's
I will feel it.
That's right. It's a little early. Jason, we appreciate the effort, but it's a little bit early.
Good job. Good effort.
So we got to do it, guys. We have to do it. It's our obligation to the viewer. Clemson 45, Florida State 14. It wasn't that close, Jason.
There was a game Saturday? Huh, I must have missed that.
45.
Let me check my DVR real quick. Oh, wait, we did play Saturday. Oh, that's interesting. Cool.
Or we could go with a little.
Look, there's no moral victories, and we've talked about this for the last 2 weeks. There was going to be no moral victories whether we lost by 31 or we lost by 10. Florida State lost. Florida State got blown out. It was a pathetic display on the part of Florida State. It was a very good display by the part of Clemson. I think if you are going to take one positive, let's see. We won the fourth quarter. We outscored them 7-3 in the fourth quarter. We outscored them 14-3 in the second half after spotting them a 42-point lead. So yeah, there was some positives, but the fact of the matter is that was Clemson. That's Clemson showing why they are Clemson, why they are the defending national champs, why they are the class of the ACC, why it looks like it's Clemson and the 13 Dwarves right now in the conference, and it shows that FSU still has a long way to go. I think there were plenty of positives that we can somehow figure out a way to scrounge out of what took place in the state of South Carolina, but I think for the most part, it showed that FSU is not there yet. They're on the way. They're slowly getting there. They'll eventually get there at some point. Maybe not 2020, maybe 2021, who knows? But they're on the path. We're going to focus on the positive here. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Focus on the positive.
Before we cut Logan loose, my advice to Willie Taggart, the 12th best coach in the ACC. I don't know that his stock has risen since my ranking was released before the season. Don't spot your next opponent 42 points. Let's do that. Let's not spot them 42.
You know what? We're going to write that down real quick. Hold on. Don't allow them 42 points.
Logan, your perspective on the Clemson game.
This game, I think nobody expected Florida State to win, obviously. But I think what fans are kind of worried about coming from it was, of course, the quarterback play was all over the place. But just how far away Florida State still is from Clemson. I mean, it's going to be a couple more years. I know it was good to hear Willie Taggart say, the team didn't quit. and some players said it, but for some reason that just kind of still sits in my head and scares me even most. Florida State didn't quit at all, and they were putting in most of their effort, and they still got annihilated against sometimes second stringers from Clemson. Florida State's got a ways to go to be able to compete with Clemson, and the quarterback play was atrocious. I also was discouraged to see how Kendall Browse was calling that game. That was one of his worst. I mean, I don't know if he thought some other things were going to be executing well where they could keep running this, but the screens that are still happening when you're third down and 2, third down and 3, and you're still throwing screens 4 yards behind the ball, the line of scrimmage, it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work well. And I think Kendall Browse has got to be able to bounce back against Wake Forest this upcoming weekend. Lamonte Taylor didn't play, but Asante Samuel kind of got worked on pretty early, really early on. And this game was over in the first half, certainly, but Asante was getting worked on. Sanford Samuels hasn't had a great season. It's been pretty average. And the D line tried to do as much as they could, but it wasn't that. It just couldn't do much. And I was concerned that Trevor Lawrence would have his best game of the season, and he didn't even play for more than 2.5 quarters. And he showed out, had his numbers, blah, 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 and looked fine. And he diced up Florida State with ease. Every time they trotted out, it felt like Florida State didn't really matter who they put out there. It just didn't look like it was even a game. So good thing they put that on national television for recruits to see. That's real nice of them to do that. And it so happened to be that Clemson was pissed off. And thanks to the rest of the nation, whoever reporters are saying that they shouldn't be in the playoffs even if they went out, or some kind of stupidity like that because of their schedule, just only amped up them to get pissed off and beat the living crap out of Florida State. And just so happens to be that there was not really a game going on until there literally wasn't a game after kickoff.
Well,
how many plays did it take for you guys to give up hope?
First of all, I didn't give up hope even when we were down 28-0. Second of all, I'm one of those writers who could make an argument that Clemson shouldn't be in the playoff because their biggest win right now this season is what? Texas A&M, a team that's 3-3. Right now, what is the biggest win? The biggest wins are Texas A&M and Florida State, which are combined 6-6. Now, do I think Clemson will make the playoffs? Yes, and I think eventually that their resume will be better. But right now, their resume is not the same as an Alabama. Their resume is not the same as an Ohio State and LSU. So we can talk about that as the season goes on. But I will say this one thing, and there's a lot of FSU fans who are worried because right now this team has the same record through 6 games, 3-3, that Florida State had last year, and that obviously led to the first losing record since 1976. It's not going to end in a losing record. You still have your FCS game. You still have games against Syracuse. You still have a game against Miami, which is talking about how crucial their game is this week against a Georgia Tech team that has 1 win. It's going to be okay. No, we're not going to have 9 wins. 8 wins might be stretching at this point in the regular season, but right now we are going to make it to a bowl game. So relax. If we somehow lose to Wake Forest this week, my entire views will change come next week here on MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football.
3-3. Wake Forest on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Toss-up game, in my view.
All right.
Then Syracuse at home. I would say that Florida State has a 75 to 80% chance of beating Syracuse at home. Miami at home. I would say Florida State in the 55 percentile, 50 to 50, 60% maybe.
It depends how Miami plays their next 2 games because they play 2 winnable games against Georgia Tech, and then they go on the road to Pitt. But that's also the Pitt team that beat them in the regular season finale in 2017. So that's going to be the question. If Pitt can beat Miami, does Miami come in defeated, and does that game become a bowl eligibility bowl, what used to be a national championship semifinal between the teams back in the 90s and the 80s becomes a bowl qualifying game?
Boston College on the road, I think, is generally a toss-up. November game could be nasty weather-wise. Florida State the better team, but not by a whole lot. So maybe I give Florida State the edge. The Alabama State game's the win, and then Florida on the road, maybe a 10 or 15% chance of winning. So 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you're on the edge. You're on the edge.
Florida State should be at their worst 7-4 going into the Florida game. On paper, Florida State should be a 7-4 team. That's saying that
at worst.
At worst,
you've lost 3. You've got Wake, Miami, Boston College on the road. Not at worst.
Who have we lost to? We've lost to Clemson, who's number 3 in the country, a Virginia team who is ranked, and a Boise State team who right now would be the Group of 5 champion and would head to probably the Fiesta Bowl. I'm saying right now, at worst, Florida State should conceivably, if they beat Wake Forest this week, you're 4-3. You should beat Syracuse. You should beat Miami. I think you do beat Boston College. Because remember, this is a Boston College team that has lost to Wake Forest, lost to Kansas, and has not looked good this year, and just lost their quarterback for the rest of the season entering this week's games. So on paper, and once again, the games aren't played on paper, Florida State should be a 7-8 win team going into the Florida game. Now, that being said, this is also a Florida State team who we and Logan's watched them growing up. I've watched them for the last decade, losing plenty of games that they should go out and win. So I'm saying that they should be a 7-win team. They could easily be an 8-win team going into Florida if they play Florida State football. If they play the Florida State football that has played the last 5 seasons or so, they could easily be 5-6 going into Florida.
7-4 is a credible projection. I'm not discounting that, but that is not the worst case scenario by any stretch. Logan, can we gather anything from this Clemson game? Because you know how these games are. If they get out of hand within 5, 6, 8 minutes of the game time, then it's kind of difficult to evaluate your team. And neither one of you guys really expected a win here. You wanted to see a competitive game within a couple touchdowns, and you didn't get that. So we didn't really have competitive football past the first quarter. I'm not saying guys weren't trying. That's not what I meant. I meant the outcome wasn't in doubt. So it gets difficult to evaluate your team for down the road. And this is the measuring stick in the conference. So this isn't just when you talk, Logan, about there being such a separation between the programs that we certainly didn't anticipate. Imagine us having this show in 2016 and talking about losing 59-10 and 45-14 a couple years later. It would have been like, what happened? But this isn't just an indictment on Florida State. It's an indictment on the ACC because Florida State, to Jason's point, is just as good as everybody else in the conference, roughly. Took Virginia to the final 3 or 4 yards to take a team that will probably play in the ACC championship game. So it's an indictment on Clemson. But I guess what I'm asking you, Logan, is what could you really gather about Florida State's effort and aside from the comment that you made about Art Briles' play calling and that being a bit curious, just did anybody stand out or really just not show up?
Kendall Briles.
Jason was going to come. I knew Jason was going to be.
Absolutely.
Don't put that Art Briles voodoo on us. Don't do that.
He'll win you some games before other things happen.
Like I said earlier, I did it on we recorded a podcast last night, and the main thing that I'm getting from this is how far away Florida and trying during that game. They never quit. That's a big thing. I mean, we saw quit last year easily. We saw guys smiling after the Clemson game inside Doak Campbell stuff. Some guys smiling, but I think after this game, I think everybody was pretty pissed off. That's not what they expected to see, or they expected to at least compete for a good while against Clemson. And I think it just shows how far ahead Dabo Swinney's coaching staff is. They also showed that they really wanted to put an emphasis on scoring a lot against Florida State. They found their weaknesses, and Florida State's got to figure out some things, what they want to do defensively and coaching wise going into next year. I'm sure Willie Taggart has already had a talk with Levitt, and I'm sure he would be your leading guy for the defensive coordinator position if he does not get picked up by Rutgers. And so coming from that game, the quarterback play too, I mean, I know we're trying to maybe look for positives here, but I really didn't. I mean, it was just something you kind of want to put behind you. I mean, that's just a bad game overall Caleb Bourne, maybe. I mean, gets his first collegiate touchdown. He was averaging over 8 yards a carry, and looked pretty nice. He's going to be your guy next year. Still Cam Akers' show, but the quarterback play was all over the place, which I'm sure we can get into. I mean, they had no idea what was going on. Hornibrook is seeing people. He's seeing ghosts. I mean, he's running away out of the pocket for no damn reason whatsoever. He's just seeing things come after him. I'm wondering if he gets nervous around the pocket. He's got to. I don't know what kind of excuse there is. He doesn't want to sit back there and read whatsoever. And then James Blackman wanted to go to the phase he did mentally, where he did how he played at Virginia, where he was just not. He's just not thinking right. I think whenever he gets put into a tough situation, he struggles. Definitely road games, and he just doesn't think smart like he really could be. We've seen flashes where he does play great and he can read, but he just wasn't feeling it. It also doesn't help. He came back from an injury. That doesn't help. But also, it's Clemson's defensive line, one of the best in the country. I mean, they are absolutely piling through your horrid offensive line. I think that's another years ahead before that offensive line gets fixed. So both quarterbacks, and then it also didn't help whatsoever, which has got to quit this weekend, is putting quarterbacks in and out, and then definitely when a quarterback has just got done throwing a touchdown, even though it's against friggin' second and third stringers, but switching it up where you give it to the other guy a chance. But I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It didn't seem it's like getting something from Dollar General. Very cheap offense that Kendall Browse ran against Clemson. It was disturbing. I mean, but it is against Clemson. What?
Dollar General is a great store. All right, you get good deals, great discounts. Let's calm down.
Got one right around the corner.
It is, but it's cheap goods that you can. I mean, it's cheaper. You get a cheaper product. You're not going to get some great things, not something spectacular, but you're going to get what cheap.
This happened just the other day. I do not frequent the Dollar General very often, but I ran around the corner to get some snacks right before kickoff the other day. I see $1. Yes, as is advertised, the dollar window cleaner. So I grab it. Hey, it's $1. It probably sucks, but it's $1. I get home and the cap, the lid was not properly screwed onto the top of the window cleaner, and it was all over the place.
Everywhere. Yeah, so that's a Dollar General thing. What is this? Mark, tell Jason and Logan to stop.
Yeah, so my emotions in watching my favorite football team are like steel, but Mega Jesus is God. I don't know if that's blasphemy or he's promoting. Anyway, I don't want to get so he would like to ask the both of you, or I guess he's calling you account. I don't know if he has privacy into your respective residences to see how you react to the games, but he's telling you to stop allowing your emotions to rule when watching the Florida State games.
So we lost to Boise State by 5, Virginia by 7. We're basically 2 possessions away from being a 5-1 team, and our other loss was to the number 3 team in the country. Yes, average. Team is average, right? Mega Jesus, you might want to go to church. I know that I'm Jewish, but you might want to go to church. Take God-fearing Dabo with you and the rest of your clan, but that's fine. I get that you love FSU. It's not an average team. Are we playing average at times? Absolutely, but we're not an average team. So let's calm that down real quick. Sorry.
You're not an average team.
We're not an average team. We lost 2 games.
I'm actually contemplating this, Logan. I know that you think I'm about to rip on him. I'm not. I'm just contemplating it. I'm thinking, okay, there are 70 teams in the Power 5.
Right.
And there's probably about 15 teams in the group of 5 that are legitimate, can really play at that level, at the next level. Boise State on down the line, Cincinnati, those kind of schools. 80 to 90 teams in the country. Florida State's not in the 45 range.
I would say Florida State is playing. They're 2 possessions away from being a 5-1 team. Would you argue that fact?
I would also argue that they're 1 extra point away from possibly being 2-4
team. Absolutely, but we're talking about the positive.
4 and what other games did they win here?
They beat NC State by.
Okay. Yeah, you won the games. The games that you won, Jason, to your point, the games that you won were more decided than the games that you lost.
Right. We're 2 possessions away from being a 5-1 team, and our loss is a blowout loss to number 3 team. So what I'm saying is, FSU has the ability and has the talent and has the roster that they are much better than an average team. They are a much above average team.
Oh, I totally agree with that. If you're just looking at roster talent, absolutely.
Executed like it? No. So they have executed like an average team, but to say that they are an average team is something that I disagree with. By the way, a hell of a lot of Miami fans on here. They've been really high and mighty down here. Michael Cruz, Miami going to whoop FS. First of all, it's going to, number one, would be the correct English on that, Michael Cruz. First of all, don't get cocky because you scored a fourth quarter touchdown with your backup quarterback to beat Virginia. So let's calm down with getting cockiness there. Mark, FSU should hire a Boise State head coach. If you don't know his name, then we shouldn't hire him, Mega Jesus. That's number one.
Brian Harsin.
Right, you know his name, but I'm saying Mega Jesus obviously didn't.
I understand.
So I'm just throwing that
just
out.
helping him out.
Okay, help out. Shout out to Mega Jesus is God. So, and can we also just say something real quick? And I'm going to strike on a little personal note here. I wrote something this week about how I think Dabo showed no class in the game, and I stand by what I wrote. But the Clemson fans really showed their true colors with some of the many responses. Number one, let's see, get out of your mother's basement. Let's see, I'm just showing you I don't live in my mother's basement. I live in a beautiful one-bedroom.
Be careful there.
Here in Pembroke Pines, there's a bathroom right there. There's our I'll show you right there. There's our nice Seminole spear right there. So
we'll get,
the Clemson fans told me
one more time, Jason. I'll give you the full screen on that.
Thank you very much. This is
there you go.
Right here,
very
much.
good, very good.
Okay. Clemson fans who told me I should die. Dabo's God. Dabo is amazing. Dabo is someone that we should all love as an American treasure. Dabo Swinney acted like trash, both yelling at your kicker when you miss a field goal that would put you up 31-0, and then getting upset at the end of the game when you don't put it in the end zone to try to score a touchdown when you're up by 31 points at the end of the game. I'm sorry, that's trash. It's the same thing that people yelled at Jimbo about, but they have no problem with Dabo doing it. We all know what it's about, and we're not going to go into that right there. Same way, so nobody here has said the ACC is better than the SEC, so keep trying, Devin Brown. So let's just stop acting like Dabo Swinney is the greatest thing in sliced bread. He's not even close. Moving on.
360 Earth said it.
Earth reads no game day, so I mean,
Oh, I know we better not be putting out that kind of stupid stuff.
Logan, that's your ghost account. Don't lie. Give Clemson the UCF treatment. You might want to check this.
I just typed it.
No one said Clemson is like UCF. UCF was fake champs twice. They made it up themselves. They're like Disney World. So they have 2 losses this year. Whatever.
I would have done the same thing.
What, claiming
I were them.
Claiming a fake championship? I didn't know you guys did that at Kent State. Come on, bro. Yes,
anyway, I would
Jesus.
myself at another time.
Jesus.
We're talking.
There's a new one from.
How about the quarterback situation? So obviously, neither quarterback fared well against Clemson. We really can't take that evaluation into play very much. Hasn't Alex Hornibrook been the better quarterback?
I wrote this yesterday, and it's something that I went back and forth with, and I looked at the numbers. I think it is time, and I think Alex Hornibrook should start against Wake Forest. I think Kendall Briles, and to whatever extent he has in the play calling and whatnot now, Willie Taggart, I think they're going to try to go with both quarterbacks, but I think you have to start Alex Hornibrook. And it's not because of what he did against NC State. It's not because of what he did in the second half against Louisville. I think that the Clemson game showed, you saw towards the second half, towards the fourth quarter, when James Blackman was in the game, it kind of felt like he gave up. You saw him throw passes. You saw him throw, interceptions and whatnot. That's not the James Blackman that we saw at the start of the season. I think he got tired a little bit. I think he got a little bit grumpy. I think he expected a lot more from this team than what you've seen. So I think that you have to. I think the problem you run into there is what happens if Alex Hornibrook gets knocked around against Wake and they go into a deep hole, and you've kind of taken away some of any of the positivity from James Blackman. You take away some of his positive mojo. So that's what they're going to run into. But I always said that Alex Hornibrook did not play himself to the starting position, that he would get it if James Blackman played himself out of it. And I think James Blackman, the attitude, the way things happened in the second half against Clemson, has kind of taken that way.
Yeah, the quarterback play from both sides, I think they were the 2 worst rated quarterbacks after the weekend. I think Hornibrook was around 7%, and what Blackman was at 4% or somewhere around there. And I really don't know. I really don't know who they'll start this weekend. I can't predict anything from this coaching staff at the moment. There's no clue. 50-50 on this one.
That's for your next make a pick. Make a pick.
I know. I do think Tiger. I think it's the same thing with what Tiger had last year with Francois. I don't know why Francois was out there. For most, Tiger was close with them, or they had created some kind of bond or some kind of contract or something. But DeAndre Francois stayed out there. I do think to be able to stretch the field makers going, I still think Hornibrook being back out there, not being able to. I don't know what he's seen sometimes. There was some throws which were atrocious. Both quarterbacks played terrible, but I do think moving forward, for this offense to get cooking, it's going to have to be with Blackman. I don't know who will play this Saturday, but James Blackman knows the quarterbacks better. This offense has also been used to a right-handed quarterback more than left-handed, and I think first of all, flip-flopping two quarterbacks was just a terrible idea at the first part. I was very concerned about that because that flips the side of how wide receivers are running routes and how they're going to run their offense. But I think James Blackman should be the starter, not only from, I think something's going on that has gone on with him is mentally. I think that can be fixed. And I think he should have, if he does play on Saturday, would have a better game. I think he just was spooked coming into Clemson after the injury and having a week off or 2 weeks. Really kind of messed him up a little bit, but I think he's healthy now, and I really don't know who they'll start though, because I mean it's really just silliness to think of. I mean, Florida State doesn't have a really good quarterback corp right now, and that's not going to help anything.
Our buddy
if you don't have a good quarterback,
that I'm struggling to maintain my integrity during these interviews. I have no idea, James, what you're talking about, but I appreciate the comment because James comments on a lot of things regarding a lot of videos. So I certainly respect James for being a great supporter.
James
I have no idea what he's alluding to here.
A smaller general version of Booger McFarland is what James Warner looks like. So
well, let's lay off of the avatars.
I love Booger McFarland. Shout out to Booger McFarland when he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and whatnot. Shout out to LSU. I love Booger McFarland, but if we're going to be honest here, James Warner, I mean, what? And the people saying, "Oh, FSU's mediocre." You're 3-3, so number one, you can't be mediocre if you're average. You have an average record. No one said you haven't that FSU had an above average record. They have an average record. They have above average talent playing average football right now. So the question is, what's going to happen the second half of the season? Yes, the schedule is much more favorable. You don't have to play Clemson in the second half. You don't have to play Notre Dame. You don't have to play Florida, or you don't have to play Florida, but you don't have to play a Florida team who I think Florida is going to hit a bump in the road. I think South Carolina could upset them. I think they're going to lose to Georgia. They could come in to that game with 2 or 3 losses and be a little bit shaken up. So does the second half play out better for FSU? Yes. So the question is, can FSU play up to the level that we all know they have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I still think I predicted Florida State to lose the Gators before the season. I'm still thinking that. I think what they have with their backup quarterback, I think they can lead in Gainesville. I still think they're behind Dan Mullen behind there too.
You're also a hater, so I get it. It's fine.
Kyle Trask
goes with Dabo too. I don't think they're the same. Taking care of business right now.
Kyle Trask
at LSU.
Sling it.
He can manage it.
Oh no, Florida should get credit for how they played. They played very well against LSU, but they proved that they still can't. That they can compete for the SEC East. I think that Georgia game is going to be a pretty damn good ball game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people thought, but they're not ready yet for the playoff. Florida could make it to a New Year's Six bowl game, but they are not a playoff team yet.
All right, everyone. It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Just cutting in here for a second, interrupting some Florida State football talk. We come your way every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We got Logan Robinson on the line from Knoll Game Day, Jason Parker from Chop Chat, and we encourage all of you to go over to their respective sites, check out their daily information and coverage of Florida State football. Here, you need to like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe as well. Of course, you can help contribute to the channel a number of ways. Shop Amazon using the link in the description section below. That helps build the channel. You get my college football weekly predictions by grabbing the link in the description section below as well, next to the hashtag that says, or the Voice of College Football Community. And of course, folks, the super chat is on, and we will be here for another 30 minutes talking up FSU football and previewing the big Wake Forest game, a game that is a near must win.
Wow. Previewing the big Wake
The big Wake Forest game, the game that you're going to win for sure, right?
When we did this around week 12 or 13, did you think the words "the big Wake Forest game" were going to come out of your mouth on October? What's today's date? October 16th. Did you really think that?
If I was going to be a bit sarcastic, yes, I did believe it, and that's what I was. So sure. Did I believe that Florida State was going to go 7-5 or 8-4? Yeah, I forget which one was my prediction, but it was one of the two.
They can still go 9-3. Watch it happen. Moving on. We've talked about this before, and I feel like we've said it before. I feel like we've written this before. We've said it before. This is the must-win game. Now, this last season, remember, they lost the heartbreaker to Miami. They played a Wake Forest team, obviously a Wake Forest team not as good as this Wake Forest team, and beat them by 21 points. So the narrative is there that Florida State should win this game, should turn it around. Wake Forest, we talked about this, as a high-scoring team. This is where the problem is going to be. The FSU's defense has played atrocious. They have played below their roster talent and what we've expected from them. So that's going to be the question. This is a Wake Forest team that scored 59 points on Louisville last week, on Louisville's defense, the same Louisville's defense they gave up 35 to FSU. So that's going to be the question. Can Florida State's talent on defense be the ones to carry them past Wake Forest? Sorry, Booger.
Yeah, and
I insulted Dabo, Booger. I apologize.
For that defense, both sides, I mean, the defense is going to have to step up. They lost their momentum, obviously, after their play against Louisville. And I don't know how going forward this defense is going to play. I do think, though, they got to kind of click back with what they're doing. I mean, we didn't really hear much of Amari Gaynor, who was starting to flash consistently. Levante Taylor also missed that game against Clemson, and he might be playing a bigger factor than we might think because there was some Trevor Lawrence was dicing and dicing. I mean, it was easy peasy for him. So defensively, there's got to be some kind of big plays going. I don't understand why. Maybe it's just not working. Maybe we're not seeing this. We're not able to watch their film that they have in their film rooms. But there's got to be some kind of blitz packages that they were using. They weren't using it, but they need to use something to get to the quarterback. Right now, Wake Forest starting quarterback is dealing with the shoulder injury. He's questionable for this game. You could see Hartman come out again like he did last year in Doe Campbell. And Hartman's not a terrible quarterback. He's pretty decent. And for some reason, Wake Forest always doesn't have an amazing running back. They don't have a terrible running back, but they have an above average running back. I think there's more than one running back that is pretty decent under the Demon Deacons this year. And run defense is going to have to be ready to play once again. And I do think they do make a bounce back. I think the good things that we've been hearing from biggest leaders on the team this season, he seems in one way. I haven't been hearing much from James Blackman, which is shocking. But Marvin Wilson is telling Cats that, stop pouting. You got to get over it. I mean, the good thing is that they were actually pretty pissed off after the game, unlike last year where some of them really didn't give a damn. Marvin Wilson telling them to wake up. And like Amari Gaynor said today or during this week of practice, said, I agree with Marvin, and we got to stop pounding. We got to move forward. There's a lot of season left, and this defense could still grow and get better, most definitely. But like you said, Jason, this Wake Forest is going to score, and Florida State, not only defensively but offensively, they're going to have to keep up too. Because after what I saw from Kendall Briles on Saturday, that wasn't really promising. But it doesn't help though. You're facing Clemson, all this kind of stuff. So that's why I'm just ready to move on from Clemson stuff because that was just kind of unfair.
Can we hold on a second? The Punisher, if Willie Taggart, aka Dumpster Fire, has 18 million. It's 17 million buyouts, but nice try. No matter what, y'all are screwed. Your coach is one losing season away from being our defensive coordinator and coming back to his alma mater. So let's remember that. You also have, I believe, if you go back to your icon, I don't believe you have any players from the last 15 years. So keep living in the past, Miami. That's all I've heard all week. Oh, the U is back. The U is back. You're 3-3. You have the same record as us. So congratulations. Beat Georgia Tech this week, and then you can talk about how relevant you are with a 4-3 record.
The stat of the week on the Miami side is that they are now a whopping 5-12 in their last 17 games against Power 5 teams. 5-12.
Hashtag the new Miami. That's all we hear down here. So hashtag the U is back. Okay.
Beat Central Michigan 17-12. So there should be no Miami bragging about a one win of some significance against Virginia.
And then now they think they're going to get our decommit. We've had one decommit. I believe they've had about 15. Florida's had about a dozen. 31. Congratulations. Yep, the U is back.
So yeah, somebody asked about the decommit in the live chat. So Jalen Harrell decommits. You guys, your thoughts and perspective on that?
To be honest, this one was a little bit of a shocker because he committed early to FSU. He went to Miami Central, the same school that produced two of the best Noles in the last easily 10, 20 years in both Dalvin Cook and Devontae Freeman. So this one was a little surprising. He transferred to a private school, Champagnat Catholic in the Hialeah, just outside Miami. And I think he's going to commit to the University of Miami. I do think that he will end up at least staying home for the time being with his commitment. But the question is that going to stay? I see him going somewhere else. I can see him maybe, Georgia swooping in, can a school like a Michigan swoop in. Michigan got a bunch of guys from South Florida recently. So that happens.
Yep. And you noted on that, but and there's a lot of questions I had. Do I think this is going to be a trend for FSU? I don't think so with Willie Taggart. I think a lot of the guys are still locked in with Willie Taggart moving forward. And I don't think that trend will continue. I know there's a lot of questions about that, and people on Twitter are like, oh, here we go. Here comes a trend. Unless all things start going downhill really quickly, I don't expect a lot of more players to decommit from Florida State and Willie Taggart. But he is a talented guy. But one thing about Florida State, you're going to get your DBs. That just seems to be the thing here in Tallahassee. But you will get your DBs. There's still some guys on that Florida State can kind of replace with the Herald decommitment and edge on some of these schools bringing in defensive backs. So I don't think that trend will continue. But it is a talented guy that Florida State did lose their commitment to.
It is a little worrisome, though, and I'm going to show a little South Florida bias here because I think the high school talent down here is the best anywhere in the country. You saw in the first two classes that happened with Willie Taggart as head coach, he made a commitment to coming back into South Florida, getting South Florida recruits from Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. So to lose a South Florida recruit is a big deal. To touch on what Logan said, I don't think it's going to start a trend. I also think that if Florida State can beat Wake Forest this week, then beat Syracuse, then beat Miami, and get a little winning streak going, I think you're not going to see many more of these.
You know what I know? I know that Eddie the Cane is on board.
No,
he is on board here.
He's a
So
Cane.
just follow Eddie Kane's instructions. He's talking about subscribing to MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. The best decision you'll make all year.
No. It's a top five. You're in the playoff conversation, but I don't think you've secured a semifinal berth just yet.
I would love to see the decision-making process of that particular person in which this is their best decision all year.
Your strength.
But I'll take it, Eddie. Appreciate it, man.
No.
Are we still going to have some of the guys or whoever is on for the Miami live shows? Are we going to combine those? Because that's kind of coming up a little soon here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, it is coming up.
Tell Cam at the Virginia game that they put him on the Jumbotron. He was wilding out. I know he changed his Twitter emoji, but tell him, come up to Pembroke Pines. We'll get something together. We can get a local bar, local restaurant. We can do a live show. Mark, we can fly you down. We can get this going. Logan, we can get you down here. You guys might have to pay your own way because we don't have a sponsorship yet, but you guys can come down and show live. What do you guys say?
I think I will be hosting remotely on that, but I appreciate the invitation. Maybe if it was in the middle of February, I would make it on down. Let's also test out the Wi-Fi from your establishment before we just have the whole show
Logan, hold on.
We can't connect.
Logan, I don't know why you're laughing about Wi-Fi. You look like you dialed in from 2006 real quick, bro. Come on now.
I don't even know what's happening right now. It's showing through on YouTube that I'm like filming from a microwave, but is it showing that? It's showing, but on Streamlabs though, it looks beautiful. I look perfect.
You look like 2006 came back. You look like you're on AIM here or something. I don't know.
Unreal. This is a new laptop too. Are you kidding me? This is what I get. This mother.
Oh, the new laptop.
Blame the laptop. Sure.
Yeah. Let me see if let's see. All right, now that should be terrible. I don't know. I'm gonna sit here and just switch it around.
Mark, save us. Mark, promote something. Go.
6 games down. 6 games to go, guys. We're halfway through the season. I think it's time for some mid-season grades. I throw out a unit or a part of the offense or defense, and you tell me where you would grade them and why. Jason, you start with a passing offense.
I'm going to give them I'll give them a B. I think that they have done just as well as last year. I think James Blackman, I'll give him credit. I still stand by the idea that – wait, we lost Logan. There he's back. I think he has shown up a lot better than I thought he was going to be. I would like to see more. I'd like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see a little bit less of the deep passes and just going for it. And that's what Kendall Browse is going to do. But I'd like to see more smart passes. I think they are smart passes away from being a B+, A- off passing game. But I'm going to give them B right now.
Passing game. A grade for that.
Sure.
It doesn't help that quarterback play is dreadful right now. I'll go with the weapons that's around it.
Make a pick.
C+. I'm gonna go C+. I think there's just. Helton's now done for the rest of the season, but so far, kind of relying on Terry to get touchdowns. There hasn't been much. I thought there'd be more explosive plays under Bryles and deep threats that he would be given the quarterbacks situations to be running against opposing defenses, but I just haven't seen enough of it. But yeah, right now I think it's just because I give it this grade because it could be what it is right now, and that could change by the end of the season. But it just doesn't help right now. But also, quarterbacks are just playing atrocious.
I hope your professors don't grade your homework like that. Jeez.
Got 80 on the line here for Florida State Seminoles Live every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time right here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Jason Parker from Chop Chat, and we got Logan Robinson on the line from Knoll Game Day. Keep it locked right here. In 15 to 20 minutes, we go live with Miami football talk, and we are grading the Noles on their various units mid-season here, 3-3. Jason says they could possibly be 8-3 when they go to Gainesville on the final day of the season. Okay, of course they possibly could. Worst case scenario, 7-4 though. Absolute worst case scenario is 7-4.
On paper, worst case 7-4. Now, once again, are they going to play like a 7-4 team? That's what we'll see. Logan,
it could be 3-4 in a few days.
They could. They could also be 4-3 in a few days.
All right. So the running game. How good has the running game been through 6 games, Jason?
I'm going to give them a B+. I'm going to admit that I will give Cam Akers credit. We talked about this during the preseason, how he needed to step up and how he needed to overcome the offensive line woes. And we'll wait for our offensive line grade in a moment. But I'm going to give him credit. He's literally 90 yards away from equaling his total yards from all of last season. He's already gotten more touchdowns this season than last season. He's on pace for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns at this point. So I'm going to give him credit. I'm going to give them a B+.
Yeah, I do. I think the running back game has been pretty nice. Also, I do think that you have a really good running back with Cam Akers, which is helping. If there's a little bit more blocking, then I'd easily give him an A. But Cam Akers is doing what he needs to do in order to get himself paid. He's playing smart. He's playing patient. He's hitting the holes right when they're there. He's also becoming really hard to tackle. And he's had a very nice season. And I do think, there's been a lot of complaining about not seeing Caleb LeBourne. But this is obviously the Cam Akers show this season, and he's been doing a great job so far, and except for this weekend. But then again, this was Clemson, and I think he only rushed for 38 yards on Saturday, and Caleb LeBourne was your leading rusher. So yeah, I would give it the same grade as Jason.
T.A. Burdon, you are damn crazy. There's no way Miami's going to beat Florida State by 14 points, and I'm trying to figure out where all these Miami fans got from. I guess you got out of your jobs at Sedano's Supermarket in time to go on our show at 7 o'clock. But damn, there's no way. No way Miami wins. Number one, no way Miami wins by 14. Moving on. Next.
A1 Otero would ask, why are the grades so high when your team is only 3-3?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the offensive line.
Let's get to the defense. We'll just go with the defensive game against the run. Jason.
Before the Clemson game, I would probably have given them I would give them a B- C+, but I think I have to lower them all the way down to a C because of giving up 300 yards against Clemson. I get that it's Travis Etienne. I get that Clemson is a very good team, but you give up that many yards, your grade has to go down. I think they started off bad and got much better as the season went on. The question is going to be, does that 300-yard game against Clemson kind of bring them back to the level you saw against Boise State, against, can't believe I'm going to say this, against Louisiana Monroe and against Virginia?
Mm-hmm. I'll go the same grade. I'm going to go straight C right now. This depends. I think there's still maybe a little bit more work in the process where Barnett and Levitt need to put guys in the right positions, definitely linebacker-wise with hitting the right gaps. But I think a lot of this has also been problematic with how Dontavius Jackson has not really turned out to be you got an experienced guy out there, but he's not really coming through. Leonard Warner can't be out in coverage, but he's better in the run, and just if he could just stay in the middle of that field right there at all times, and that's where he works best. But yeah, right now there's still a work to be done there. I'm gonna go C.
Florida State fans, let's take this as a challenge. We've got 84 on the line right now. Eddie the Cane likes to talk a lot, and he's letting us know, although certainly he says has a lot of good things to say, and letting everyone know that subscribing to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, would be the best decision you would make all year. But Eddie is telling us right now, 78 viewers. We're at 84 right now. We've got other fan bases represented, and the Miami segment does a little bit better. Let's understand a few things here. I've been doing the Miami segment for a lot longer than Florida State, and this should be a personal challenge to all the Florida State fans that watch the live chat. Bring your friends, bring the family, the social media acquaintances, everybody that you know who is a Florida State football fan. Bring them on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Now, is Eddie one of these FIU Canes? We call them down here. They're big, huge Miami fans, but they went to FIU. I'm wondering if he's an FIU Cane, if he's an FAU Cane, a Miami-Dade Community College Cane. I'm just wondering if it's Eddie the and then insert his real school Cane. I'm just wondering. Eddie, if you want to clarify that for us. Yes, shots were fired there. Shots were fired.
I felt them. I heard them.
You heard them all the way in Tallahassee.
Yep, I heard them.
I can't wait to see more people in the press box than in actually Hard Rock Stadium for this week at 12 o'clock against Georgia Tech. That's going to be funny. And there's only going to be that many people because they did beat Virginia. Granted, they beat Virginia. Their defense looked amazing, but that's the only reason. If they had lost to Virginia and come into that game 2-4, there would have been nobody in Hard Rock Stadium this coming Saturday.
That was the very first thing that I noticed about the Virginia game was the wide shot at kickoff and how many seats were empty.
And we joke about the rivalry with Miami. First of all, I rooted for Miami against Florida. I dislike Miami. I hate Florida. But it was sad, and it's a sad state to see. And we can talk about this. We've talked about college football. How fans not going out to games and whatnot. But it is sad when you've got games in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell, games at Hard Rock with the Miami Hurricanes, games in Ben Hill Griffin with the Florida Gators, and they're not selling out. I remember days in the 90s and the early 2000s when you couldn't, standing room only seats were not available at any of those stadiums. And I get it's a different time, it's a different era and whatnot. But guys, whether you're a Knoll, you're a Gator, you're a Cane, if you can go to these games, support your team. Stick with your team no matter what. I promise you.
Before we get to predictions on the Wake Forest game, I will let everyone know that Christmas is coming. I don't think I'm really responsible for letting everyone know that, but I will let everyone know that you can shop Amazon by using the link down in the description section below. So if you shop Amazon, which I understand it's an up-and-coming outfit that they've got there, that possibly you could jump online and use the link that I provide, and it helps us build the channel. Also, moneyballmiami.com. Moneyballmiami.com. So these folks basically provide a fantasy sports site of sorts. They're focused on Florida football, Florida State, Miami, Florida. This is a particular link that they've given me, miamimoneyball.com. If you go there, I play the game, then you play the game, and you basically can win prizes based on your accuracy in picking and selecting the statistical results from the games. So if you got Florida State, you got Wake Forest, passing yardage, rushing yardage, first downs. They had 12 different categories when I was online there, and I will be playing the various Florida games this week as well. So jump on there, miamimoneyball.com. Look at all the prizes and all the things that you can win right there.
Mark, have you already bought my Hanukkah presents from Amazon? Just wondering, because, it's 8 nights, 8 presents. Throwing it out there. Yeah.
I write checks for Christmas.
That's
my
fine.
job.
I will take your check for Hanukkah, all right? Make it out to Jason.
That is my job. Predictions. We already know Jason's predictions because it's going to be 8-3 going to Gainesville.
I said it could.
Well, of course it could be.
Okay.
I already know that. It could be. They're 3-3 right now. I can do the math. 5 games, 3-3, 8-3.
Mazel tov. Logan, give us your pick.
I'll give the pick first. My gut is going Wake Forest, and I'm probably going to be wrong. I'm probably going to be wrong for sure, I feel like. But something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And Florida State is going to win this game. They're going to win it 34-30. And I do think Cam Akers is going to get rolling there. It's so hard to say cooking anymore. Dalvin's not there. So Cam's going to get rolling. And I just don't know. It's 50-50 for me. Gut is telling me Wake Forest. But it does depend on this quarterback play and the attitude they go into this game, because this is still a 7:30 night, and there will be nobody there at that game. But definitely, because there's nobody there last weekend, they were undefeated, but Wake Forest lost, so that'll be it. The nerds will go back to studying over there, and Florida State should just have like a little scrimmage game with Wake Forest, and it'll be a good scrimmage game for both teams, and I do think they'll come on top 34-30 against the Demon Deacons.
I think Wake Forest is what they are. They're 5-1. They lost their first game. They've had a very good season so far. 3 of their wins were by 6 points or less. They got past Utah State in the opener. They barely beat Boston College, and they barely beat North Carolina after spotting the Tar Heels a huge lead. So that being said, I think Wake Forest is not as good as their record says. I agree with you. I do think Cam Akers has a very good game like he did last year, bouncing back with the 2 touchdowns against Wake this year. I think FSU jumps out to a decent lead. I do think Wake comes back. I'm going to go 34-28, Florida State, with a win for their fourth win of the 8-3 going into the Florida game.
If somebody wants to take this assignment, we should probably go through all the previous videos to add up the correct prediction record for all of us, which, of course, I did not select any of the games in public. But anyway, the predictions between the two of you, and then also against the spread.
4-2.
Because I've not been keeping track.
I'm 4-2.
I think I've got to be one. I think I predicted them to beat Boise State. I was wrong
Logan's
about that.
barely going to make it here. Are you going to are you going to have to take a nap before we get off here in about 3 minutes?
Literally.
No, the quality. I don't know. The quality's pissing me off, and I want to restart the stream, but it's only 5 minutes left, and I look like I'm filming with a toaster oven. And then I have an IM game at 10 o'clock tonight in 2 hours, and I'd like to have some kind of food before it. But we're facing a 3-0 team, best team in the division that we're facing. So I'm just kind of really stressed out.
Logan, we love anything we can get out of you. You're on here. We can barely see you, but we can hear you. We see the smile light up from every so often. We kind of look through the grainy shot. And we see the smile.
I have no idea.
See the hair looking good.
Happening. The hair's there. I don't have a hat on. I have no idea what's going on with the camera.
Yeah, where's the hat?
You had a rock.
Couldn't find his hat.
No hat. That's what it was. I got to wear the hat next time. That was my bad. The hair is wilding out. I mean, tonight it's going to be even more wild. I'm guaranteeing a pick six tonight. By the way, pick six.
If you get a pick six, we want video next week here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
Well, make sure we have someone filming.
Make sure you have someone filming. So
everyone, you got Jason's prediction, 34-28. Florida State, and we had a 34-30 win for Florida State. Logan,
what about yours, Mark?
You can get my prediction in the description section below. Just look at the Voice of College Football Community link. Grab that. You get the predictions. You also get your opportunity to go live with me each and every week. The request is out there for an exclusive live stream each and every week for my Patreon followers of the Voice of College Football Community. So that's a bargain when you get winning picks. And you get to schedule an exclusive live stream with me, and you get to actually hear me talk as opposed to when I come on here and just monitor the live chat for these two.
I mean, you do a hell of a job with it. I mean, I think
It's not. It can't be easy. It can't be easy. I'll give you that. We give you the warm up for the rest of the night.
There it is.
What are we going to watch tonight? There's no baseball. College football is Troy versus South Alabama. What are we going to watch tonight? You
can watch me for the next 2 hours, Jason.
Oh, sorry. I got to go watch my hair.
See you. Well, there he goes.
Jason, get out of here. We'll see everybody next week at 7 o'clock Eastern time on a Wednesday night. We may have some programming updates to pass along, so stay tuned for those. Logan, we always appreciate it, whether we get you grainy or sharp or HD or SD, whatever it is. We got kind of the Zapruder film effect right now.
I'm triggered.
Jason, we appreciate you stopping by as always, man.
Thank you, sir.
Get that arm out of that cast soon.
Friday. Hopefully we're done with this.
All right, everyone, enjoy the Florida State Wake Forest game, and we will see you. Keep it right here. 8 o'clock Eastern time is just 3 minutes away for Miami football talk.